So call the policy and governance meeting to order.
I'll take attendance.
Yeah.
So we have our chair, Jackie Doherty,
Here.
and we have
Dave Conway.
Conway,
Yes.
and Eileen Del Rossi is not present. So we're here to discuss the updating of school committee policies and what decisions the school committee might want to take as relates to updating them. We're joined here with Alicia Mellon.
Yep.
From the Mass Association of School Committee to help advise us in this discussion. We know that we want to focus on hiring policies today as well as visits to school and communication policies, but we're also open to hearing from Ms. Mellon about just the process that MASC offers and just any recommendations.
Can people call in?
I don't
Not
believe we have
typically a
any.
subcommittee.
This is a subcommittee meeting. I mean, if we had a subcommittee down City Hall, they could attend.
People can attend,
Yeah, but we're not taking calls. That's not what you mean, right?
but people can attend.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can attend and they can also speak. at the
Yes.
Subcommittee.
Right.
Well, this is supposed to be the same. It's supposed to mimic what's down there.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, they
Yes.
should have the right to be able to call or speak in this. Was there a number for them to be able to call into this meeting?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm not
We've
aware-
never had taken calls at subcommittee meetings. If you come to a subcommittee meeting, you can
If you
speak.
I know, but we didn't give them the option. That's the point I'm
Did-
making.
Do
If
have,
we were City Hall, we would be having this
they have the
discussion.
option though to sign up for this meeting too. They would have called Ms. Bedoya and she would have put them on a speaker list.
Okay. all
They're
right.
also, yeah,
I just want to make sure the public is not taken out of the
No.
equation, that's all.
So I think what I would like to start with is, I understand that there's some specific policies you all would like to review. And if I can back up and just tell you what the MASC offers, and then we can figure out what path you want to take. So as a member to our organization, we offer policy support. Just if you had a handful of policies that you wanted to review, we could come to your meeting and sit with you and say, or you could email me and I would send things back to you. Smaller amounts of policies don't necessarily require the full policy manual review process. A while ago, you had reached out and asked for a draft contract. That draft contract is for the full policy manual review. And what would happen with the full policy manual review is that you would send us, and you actually don't have to because we have them, you're online with us already. We take all of the policies you currently have, and Anne Marie in our office merges those with our current draft policies. And then we would sit and go section by section, and I would give you an analysis for each section. So we would start, say, with section A. Let me just scroll up a little bit. 1 second. So we would start with section A, which is, that's our model policies for section A. You would get a document from me that would say, here's what I recommend for each policy. So for, say, AA, here's your AA, here's our AA. This is what ours has, this is what was updated recently, this is what you have, this is where I think you should go. And I would walk you through that process for your entire policy manual. That's the process that the contract is for and costs, I think it's like $3,500 over 3 years, like each time. And then generally we say we contract you for 3 years, but you have me until we're done. And it doesn't even usually take that long. I'm running multiple districts who are going to be done in like a year and a half. There's one that's like close to a year.
So did you say it's 3,000?
3,500 billed 3 times. So it's like 10,500 total. That was the draft contract that we sent. So if you wanted to do the entire policy review, that's what that would be. If you just had like handfuls of policies here and there that you wanted me to come out and sit with you guys at this policy subcommittee meeting for, That's included in your membership. As an MASC member district, we can do just about anything governance-wise for you all, and it doesn't cost you anymore. Like,
Because
can-
we pay to be members.
Right, like we can come out and do roles and responsibilities workshops. Tracy does a ton of chapter 70 workshops. Like we can do operating protocols. As long as it's governance, we can come out and do that. And that doesn't involve a contract or any extra money. So I think you all will need to decide, do you want to just piecemeal some of these policies, or do you want to do a whole overview of your entire policy
Let
manual?
me see if I get this, I'm sorry.
Mr. Conway?
So if it's in the entire policy, that's with the 10,000.
Yes,
amount of dollars. If it's only portions. I was
that's
a
free.
little- That's free.
I can come out,
I
you
like
can
free.
send me, you can send me
However,
things.
Mr. Conway, you'll be paying for it in nights out. Am I right, Alicia? In
Yeah.
other words, if we do it the piecemeal, you'll have numerous of these meetings and you'll work through it with Alicia instead of having her do the work and then produce.
I see.
So
I'd like to check out.
So I can show you what one of these would look like. Let me pull up. I'm currently working with Georgetown. So this is what I'm delivering to Georgetown right now. This is just the explainer. And then as we scroll down, you see there's an index, their policy, our policy, and the rationale for whatever changes we need to make or no changes at all. And then as you go through, each of the policies has the rationale and whatever changes in them. So I would send them to you ahead of the subcommittee meeting. The subcommittee members could look at it ahead of time. We get together, you decide, we want to take those, we don't want to take those, we want to talk about this. We approve it, we send it to the full committee. So you don't have to do any of that work. I do that.
Ms. Phillips?
And I think you had mentioned that even though you typically go in alphabetical order, you could take a section out of order.
100%. If there's something you feel, very often we see that for like budget or instruction. We need to get our handbooks updated. Can we please pull the student section? So if you need to take them out of order, you can. Generally, we do recommend that you approve them in form and then replace the entire manual all at once. But if there are specific policies that are way out of date, you can pull those and send them to the committee ahead of time. We'll just make sure that they don't contradict with anything else.
Well, I think that's a very important point because no one can remember when we've really, I mean, I have this memory of 18 years ago that we didn't get through much, right? And so maybe we should take a look at the whole manual, but I think it is like 800 pages, but then prioritize with the HR stuff, the stuff that's in front of us.
I think that's a really good condition.
But I think we have to bring it before the whole committee.
You do. You do have, it does have to be approved by the full committee because it is a cost.
Cost.
So, sorry, I was just pulling up.
So
Mr. Conway?
the student, what did you say about the student handbook or policy?
So sometimes districts will need to update a policy or a policy section because there's something else that's going on. I've had districts that say, we really need to update our handbooks. Can we look at the student section first?
Do we need an attorney for that?
No. So we have an attorney on staff. MASC has an attorney on staff who reviews all of our model policies. If there's anything that pops up that I think you might want to review that with your legal counsel, I will flag that for you and say,
because,
check with your legal counsel to make sure
Usually
this is.
we
Yeah.
would go over student handbook
Mhm.
policies, we review it every, I don't know in all the schools, but I certainly know certainly in the high school, they would review it every year.
Every year.
And we
Yes.
would
Oh, yeah.
have
Yep.
our, any changes that took place.
Yep.
We would then send that to the legal team to
Absolutely.
find out whether it was appropriate or not, and they would sometimes add in, subtract, whatever it may be.
So as districts go through this, there will be sections where, I just did it recently, I just did Georgetown's section D for fiscal management, and I sent it to them. It's going to go to the full committee after their business office reviews it.
Oh.
So sometimes the business office will see it before it comes to the subcommittee and make notes. If there are other things that need to be, sort of checked on, very often in financial sections, it's something like the policy says you must have this procedure, just let the business office know that we need to make sure that procedure is on the books. I can almost guarantee you it is, because the state would tell them if it wasn't. But we like to flag things for, hey, we have this coming up. You're going to want to run this by this part of your administration.
Right, so everybody gets buy-in before you make a change.
Yep.
Because different perspectives are gonna be
Mhm.
looking at different things.
Absolutely. So just so that you know what the sections are, and you are on our website, I think yours mirror ours fairly closely. I do notice we have some policies you don't, but the sections are foundations and
Sorry.
basic commitments, board governance and operations, general school administration, fiscal management, support services, facilities development,
William,
personnel, negotiations, instruction, students, community relations, and educational agency relations. So if there was anything in there, like you said, you think you would want to do personnel first.
The link,
HR, hiring
that's
practices,
from Eileen.
Yep.
I can't find it online. Yeah,
so,
we're doing that.
right, and the link for it, in case any issue wants, is on the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Mhm.
So she looks up where Louisa sent out the agenda, the link is there. Yeah. It's also on the
I just
MASC
told the links
website.
on the
Yes,
agenda.
yes.
So the link would get her to be able to zoom in?
No, there's a link for zooming in, but I think she's looking for our policies, which is linked to the agenda
Oh,
for tonight.
Well, that was our colleague who is on the subcommittee, and she wanted to confirm that we are following MASC guidelines,
Yes.
which is why you're here. So
Yes.
and
So
I think
you-
really the big decision for us is how much of this we want to take on. Because we've got a lot of other balls in the air. I know our priority is around hiring practices. We have a motion to look at our school committee visitation
Mhm.
So
guidelines.
if and when we narrow it, as you're suggesting, I'll take you through some of what we have here, just for
Mhm.
enlightenment purposes. But if my recommendation on everybody's behalf is that we spend the $10,000 and have MASC. It'd be really beneficial for the district going forward to have all of our policies be reviewed and be renewed.
And updated.
Yeah, and I do think in terms of workload, it would be worth it to have it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my suggestion would be, and we can certainly discuss this tonight, but we bring it to the full committee. I think that there probably should be a motion somewhere along tonight to say that, to have the superintendent recommendation on what might be changed or whatever going
see.
forward.
Yeah.
I would assume that would be it. And then you could discuss it on the
Sure.
floor.
So one of the, so I'm always happy to give my recommendations. And I'm gonna tell Alicia that you just need to write down what I say and you follow, right? But the truth is that the process that Alicia's outlined is to take our policies and compare them with the model policies and then come back to us.
Best
with the- right?
practices.
Right, best practices. And so it's not my recommendation,
Right,
though I
it's
might
what
like it.
MASC.
It's right. And so I think that means it's subjective and it's right.
Right.
And then the committee still gets to say, well, we like MASC's ideas or we don't, right?
Absolutely. And there's plenty of policies. So some policies are very prescribed because that's what the Mass General Law says. And then there are some policies that we talk about that are more aspirational, things like educational philosophy. There's a balance that you strike. We make sure that you have legally what you need, and beyond that, you tailor it to what your district wants to
Right.
have in their policy manual. So,
But one thing I do want to point out in terms of workload, if we just do this piecemeal thing, the ones that have perked to the top, that's a one and done, whatever
Yep.
those HR policies
oh
are.
yeah,
If we take this commitment on, we're going through the whole thing.
Oh, I see.
So it is going to be a
You can do both.
long-standing project.
you can do both. If you want to start with this because you feel like these need to be updated right now,
See how that goes?
we can start with this and then we can follow on with the rest of the policies later. You can always take a policy, multiple policies out of order and update them whenever you need to. as long as you're following your policy update process,
Right.
your policy adoption process.
So, and just to be clear, we did have a vote on the floor because when Ms. Phillips mentioned to me about conversations with MASC, I don't think we talked specifically cost. I don't remember if we did, but I did say to my colleagues, you know, we're thinking that we'd have MASC involved. What do you guys think? And we got, you know, the majority vote. I think everyone thought it, but I don't remember exactly, which brought us to this point.
Mhm.
So I think we could move forward with confidence that the committee as a whole would like MASC involved, but that piece of, do we do a full commitment, 3 years running, 10 grand, or just do the piecemeal? Until our next meeting, we can get that firmed up.
Mhm.
So the next time we meet, we'll have a
Yeah.
better understanding of
Sounds
that.
great. In the meantime, do you want to talk about these?
Please.
And we can get an idea of
Want to do that?
what
Yeah.
our models look like?
Start the ones that we've talked about already that we know we want to look at.
So the first single page is the current school committee policy about school visits.
Yep.
And the committee itself chose to review that.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I guess the committee could review it on your own, but we'd like
Well, I
to
have,
see.
yeah, we like your input. So this was a policy that was, I don't think it's even in, I don't think it's even in the book, but maybe it is. Maybe you've got a record of it. It was kind of one that was through the prior administration. This visitation thing, everything goes through the superintendent. You have to make an appointment, because I don't know if it was actually changed in our policy.
You
book.
do have, this is your policy.
It's in there.
Yep,
It
that
is
is
in
currently
there.
online. This is your policy. And let me just pull our policy and see.
See
if
how it
there's
compares
anything-
to what
yep.
they have.
Okay, so. Actually looks fairly close. I think the visits is the only part that's really different.
What's the difference?
The difference here would be your policy, our policy does not include the second sentence under visits to schools about,
The same process.
Applies
Yep.
to meetings with department heads, administrators, and all central office personnel.
correct,
That sentence is not,
is not in our model policy. I'm gonna guess the reason that's not in our model policy is because when we talk about school committee district relationships and communication, we encourage the school committee to funnel through the chair to the superintendent and then the superintendent out to the administration, so that there's that one channel of communication, so that people aren't getting, 500 requests for the same thing at the same time. So that's how we generally would recommend a committee communicates through the superintendent. Let me see, is there anything else that's different?
Liam, do you know what this means?
she needs to just go on the, I can't get into it. She wants a snapshot of the link. I think she thinks it's a link to the meeting. Let's just call and put her on speakerphone. We can tell her we don't have a link to the meeting. That's a link to the
Right, we have a link
policies,
To the
actual
policy
policy.
book on the
Mhm.
agenda.
So Alicia, what do you think about this idea? Today, we talk about these top ones.
Mhm.
And rather than you doing it on the fly,
Mhm.
we get something
Yeah.
before we schedule a next meeting with
Right.
red line
That's a
stuff.
good
Yeah.
I'm on my,
Yep.
the phone now. Can we put you on speakerphone and you can listen in? All right, okay. Yes, you're on now, I think.
So just, Eileen, I just want to clarify for you, that link was to all our policies. It wasn't a link to the meeting.
Yes, but I did not see it even posted on the agenda center.
It is, you have to go under school committee subcommittees, go to policy subcommittee, and then click on the agenda. It is there.
Okay.
But what we're gonna do with,
I'm gonna, excuse me, I wanna ask her, would it help if I forwarded her the email that has the link in it?
yeah,
Well,
would
she
you like,
wants to- She wants to participate here.
okay, and, Mr. Skinner can forward you the link too in your email.
Okay, yes, that would be great.
So
Thank you.
Eileen, I've sent the email already, just now, and you'll see it has an attachment. And the attachment has the agenda and the posting for the meeting, and it includes the link to the policy manual.
Did you get that, Eileen?
Not yet, no. Hold on, let me make sure I am connected to Wi-Fi.
So just looking at one of your hiring policies, GBA, equal opportunity employment. It is so out of date, it does not include the Crown Act,
Wow,
and the Crown Act was 2022.
right.
So,
May I just, I think Ms. Doherty's recommendation was that we tell you the policies that are.
yes,
Pressing.
And then
yes.
by the next meeting, you can come back to us.
Oh, yeah,
recommendations,
absolutely.
right? But so on the hiring, I just wanted, this is my other piece. Again, I'd love to design the hiring policy, but obviously not my role.
Mhm.
There's two items here. So this in the packet is from BHBK. We did have an investigation this past year by, I forget their full name, but BHBK is a law firm.
Mhm.
And during the court, in the report of their investigation, they included a series of recommendations related to hiring. So they are copied and they are part of this package.
Okay.
Okay. And then separate from that, there was a memo to the school committee by our chief operating officer that's also included in here, because I believe that some of the recommendations are ones that were intended to have been taken up at this time,
Right,
but for whatever reason never were.
right.
So those are some items for you to.
So Eileen, just to update you,
Yes,
we are going to be working closely with MASC on going over these policies. What we will decide as a group, as a whole group, is do we want to commit to 3 years, $10,000?
10,500.
10,500. 10,500, sorry, my math wasn't my strong suit.
To
go over-
Quoted somewhere.
To go over all the policies, and what MASC does is they compare our policy, each one, with the model policy, then they tell us what their recommended changes are and why. So it's
Okay.
comprehensive, or we're gonna start piecemeal with just these few things that we know are very important around hiring practices and school visitation. And then we can make that decision about the full thing when we have the whole committee together to discuss it. That's basically what we decided so far. Because as I pointed out earlier in the meeting, everybody is on the same page that we need to look at policies, and we want MASC involved in helping us do that.
right, and tightening the policies up.
Yeah, like streamlining.
Mhm.
Yep.
Right.
So along the lines of tightening them up, we said something, Eileen, that there are there were votes at the school committee on motions. For example, there was a vote several years ago to make it that anyone who applied for a position who lives in Lowell must be interviewed. And it appears that even though that motion passed, it was never made part of the policy. It was under Superintendent Tofawi, and apparently it's not part of our policy. But it also happens that BHBK suggests that is contradictory to our own policy. Our own policy says there's no, you can't discriminate based on, sexual orientation and race and so on, or residence. So you can't make Lowell people get an interview versus other people and so on. So these are things I think that you have to piece out.
I thought that was, that policy was for anybody that was in the system, but you're saying it was just if you were a Lowell resident?
We have the.
I mean, I can see that if somebody is in the system, that they would have a chance to, they should be interviewed. You have somebody that's been in the system for 10 or 20 years, of course they should be interviewed.
So it's anyone in Lowell, and then you all and I, as a principal, I always assumed that that's policy because it passed. but it passed, the motion passed, but it isn't actually in the policy book.
So I would say language on interviewing internal candidates belongs in your collective bargaining agreements, not in your policy manual. Because your collective bargaining agreements will,
Supersede.
yeah, they will supersede, but policy should always be the what, the why, and the how much. And procedures take over, and, you know, collective bargaining agreements take over when you're talking about the who, the
Is it in
where, the
our
when, and the
collective
how.
bargaining?
Yes,
Yes,
Oh.
but again, if you read through the thing at the BHBK, I think they indicate that there are some issues between what we agreed to in collective bargaining and what's in the policy. They may not always mesh well.
Right.
Is
Okay.
that typical?
It happens sometimes, yeah, it does. So collective bargaining agreements are living, breathing documents that get reviewed more frequently than policy manuals do. So very often, there's things that linger in policy manuals that should have been updated,
I see.
you know, years ago, that may be in direct contradiction, so.
Ms. Phillips.
What about when it impacts our unaffiliated staff or positions?
So non-union, we have policies about non-union personnel and hiring, et cetera. So if you have, like not everywhere has their paraprofessionals in a bargaining unit yet. So we have policies that would govern that until and unless they became part of the bargaining unit.
Some other considerations for you. So one of the ones on my own behalf, I want the stringent policy. I want it to be clear, and I want to follow the policy, right?
Mhm.
But I also very much want us for hiring to be able to move the process more quickly.
Mhm.
We sometimes, if we had a principal deciding to leave Lowell next week, right? We would have to take time, I don't know, is it 3 weeks to post? Then you have to put a panel together, a large panel, have them trained in diverse practice and so forth. All of it takes time, and you're worrying not only to have the principal in place by the start of the next school year, but you want to get a good candidate, and it's competitive. And so the sooner you get those people together and you can offer the position to someone, the better. If you're offering someone a job in the 1st of August, you're only going to find someone who wasn't hired somewhere else. And so my appeal is to try to give us a streamlined policy that we can do our hiring nimbly.
Yes, I understand that.
The last comment that this comes up, I think it's in BHBK or one of the documents shared with you. They say, I think, some things that sometimes we use a phrase, for instance, like administrators. So when you're hiring administrators, such and so, but that it's not really clear which category you mean by administrators.
Okay.
So just clear it up for us, please.
Yes, we have lots of language around administrator versus professional staff versus support staff, all of that, so. And like I said, our model policies are reviewed by our in-house legal counsel, Pat Francomano, who's actually meeting with us on Thursday. Like we meet regularly, the staff meets regularly. The field directors are constantly reviewing our policy. Like we get to the end and we start again, and then Pat brings us all of the updates, so. And
Great.
reviews things for us to make sure we're on track.
Any questions? No? So I think, Eileen, do you have a question? She's still there.
No, thank you. I appreciate your input, and I appreciate you guys coming out tonight.
Yeah, anytime.
Oh, good. Well, we want to move forward with this stuff. So I would entertain a motion by Mr. Conway to start on these ones that are in front of us, these 8 hiring practice ones and the school committee visitation, and have a decision from the whole committee of how we want to move forward, but
Right.
at least know we want to get started with this.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by, oh, I don't think
You.
she's considered, it has to be
Ms.
me.
Del Rossi?
Yes, she can. Right.
She can, you just have to roll call the vote because she's remote.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Can we
So
roll
I
call?
have a motion to start with the hiring practices and school visits and communication.
Right, that we have given her tonight, that we all have tonight.
Prior to the vote on that, do you have her down as being present? From the
I
original?
will update that
Okay,
she.
need that first.
So I have a motion by
Mr. Conway,
seconded by
Eileen,
Mr. Rossi.
Tell Rossi.
Roll call, Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Mr. Conway,
yes.
and Ms. Del Rossi.
Ms. Del Rossi?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes. We just voted.
We just voted.
Was that a yes to the
Yes.
motion?
Yeah, she voted yes. to
We
the
just
motion.
voted to have you give the $10,000.
Yeah. Right.
I,
So what do you think would be the best way to do it?
So I think what we'll do is, you've given me the ones that you want to review. I will take the ones that you want to review, and I will take our model policies, and I will create that document for you where you can see ours versus yours and our recommendations.
Great,
And that's what I will bring to your next meeting.
good.
And then
Awesome.
we can, that actually
thank you.
gives you a little sample too of what a full policy manual review
Good.
would look like as well.
Sounds good.
Just so I'm clear for the next school committee meeting, there's nothing we need to bring to the full committee as yet. Then
No,
okay.
we already have this, we have permission to meet with you and
Yeah.
get started with it. So
That's
I
right.
think
Yeah.
our next meeting is not until July
25.
25,
24.
Yeah.
25,
I'm on
July
the airplane on
25.
the 24th, so.
He's flying in on the 24th, so it has to be on the 25th.
Okay.
So
Uh,
at that point, we will put on the agenda, or should we wait to make a decision?
Is
That's what I'm
that-
saying, we
yeah.
don't need to, is that right?
You don't need to do anything
Okay,
because you haven't expended any capital yet, and the full committee already knows that you're meeting with me.
okay.
So I think you don't need to do anything. You can give an update. So when you do the subcommittee updates,
We could
just say,
say,
hey, we met with MASC, this is what we're doing. And then we will schedule a policy subcommittee meeting for all of us. And that's when I will bring you the draft documents and we can go on from there. So when does your next policy subcommittee meeting happen?
When you're ready, I guess.
Okay,
right, so that would be the other thing I was gonna ask you. Do we need
Yes.
to wait till July 25th? Do you want to try to get it in before then? Then we can come before the committee
Yeah.
with the recommendations, get a full vote on those recommendations, and we
Yes.
will have lived through the experience with you to say to the committee, yeah, we
Mhm.
think we could do this, or we want to just keep doing piecemeal.
By
So-
just giving them the sample.
Right, but going
Yeah.
through it with them.
So lead time we don't have a lot of extra lead time needed to merge your stuff because you're already online with us.
Right,
I am out of town until July 15th. So if you want to meet that week of the 15th to the 19th, and then you'll have you'll have the stuff that you can bring forward to your full committee meeting on
the
the
next
25th.
week.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
Are you
I
up
will
for
get
that?
all of these things to you roughly a week or so before we meet as a subcommittee. So you'll see.
Have a week
the
to look at
drafts
it. Got
ahead
it.
of time.
So I think that Ms. Phillips is our administrative point person, so you
Okay.
would go through her, right?
Yep.
For polling, and is that how we would do it?
I believe so, and I won't be here at that time, but I don't.
You don't
I'm
need to
happy-
be,
That's right, I
right.
don't need to be.
You'll be back when we have the final when we have the
Mhm.
full meeting with the school committee to see what the subcommittee is recommending. If you have concerns, you can express them then,
When are you leaving?
I think, or 11th, maybe, 11th.
July. So Alicia, we were talking about the week of July 15, right?
Yes.
Um,
And as of right now, I'm pretty wide open. I don't have anything daytime or evening that week so far.
So how do
really
you
whatever
feel,
works for you all.
Dave? Or Eileen? July 15 is a Monday, so we could do a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Hmm.
Those are better days for me. Tuesday's a very good day for me, but I don't want to,
I can do any of those days and whatever works out for the majority.
okay, so,
That's- I mean, that's
so
fine.
those days look good. So we have some flexible,
Yep.
if we do the 16th, we could just meet here. We don't have to go to the council chambers first. This is a
You
good
can also
place.
do it online. I have multiple districts
won't be
doing their
around the
policy
door
reviews all online. So if you wanted to meet remotely,
I'm
we could do
gonna
that too.
keep the
Did you hear that?
What's that?
We could do it online. We just do a Zoom
I have
meeting.
multiple districts who are doing all of their policy review online.
So you would send us your comparison thing
Yep.
a week before the meeting. This is very exciting to me. We have a week
Yep.
to look at it. Then we
Yep.
do a Zoom meeting.
I
Will
would
we walk
prefer
through
not
it?
a Zoom.
Oh, all right.
In a pinch, it can be done though. Just keep that in mind.
Okay,
Yep. Some people do
I mean, I
prefer to
did,
meet in
I did the
person,
Zoom
or-
for 3 years
I
on the
know.
city council, so it just misses a lot.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
not-
All right, so why don't we say, I'm on the wrong month now.
Tuesday's the 16th.
Tuesday, the 16th, I'm just gonna check it with work tomorrow, but I think out of those 3 days, I could definitely do it. But let's say Tuesday, the 16th, does that
Do
work?
you want me to have this
6:30?
hold you for that?
Well, I think we're polling us right now.
Okay, that's just so.
Now,
Now,
Save it.
why wouldn't we have it in the chambers? I don't understand.
They have city council meeting on Tuesdays.
Oh, no, okay.
Well, I am definitely flexible with time too, and I'm super close, so I can make whatever time you need to work.
This is the earliest I can do it, because I've got to commute.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm coming from Waltham.
Yep.
So Eileen, July 16 at 6:30, does that work for you, or do you prefer a meeting at 7?
No, the 6:30 works for me.
So July 16 at 6:30,
Do you want me to consider your poll and then have Ms. Bedoya post?
yes,
And the agenda is policy review with MASC. One of the
yes,
simple
over
agenda.
these items.
But we'll have draft documents.
Oh, that's
for
right.
Yep.
us
You
a
will.
week before the meeting.
Yep.
Yes, a week
So you'll be
before,
able to list on the agenda exactly what policies are being reviewed.
right.
Great.
And you can email it to Ms. Phillips, she can send it to us,
Okay.
and we'll have a week to look
Sounds
at it. The only thing, if there is a change, I will let you know first thing in the morning.
I'm gonna
I
send
just
it
need to
out.
talk to I don't know what the schedules are for vacations at work. But I know I'll be here, so. This is great. We're getting started on it. And I love the idea that you guys are gonna be there to help us. It was daunting when we tried to do it
Yes.
before.
I tried to do it just as a policy subcommittee chair with my first committee. And it was so overwhelming. And now that I'm doing it from the other side of the table, I'm like, oh, yes.
There's a better way.
Well, you
It's
have a
easier.
template already set
Yeah.
up,
Right.
that makes
Yeah.
it, instead of
Yeah.
creating.
You want water? Thank you.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
How much time do you think it will take?
Depends on the section.
Motion
So, you mean
to
that
adjourn.
Wait a minute,
The meeting on the 16th.
Uh-huh.
Let's plan for like an hour on the 16th. I don't think we'll need much more than that because it's not a full section. And then if you do full sections, it depends on what we're taking up. And there are some that are, there's like 3 that are very, very tiny. And I try to put those in one meeting because we knock out 3 sections all at once. But
Right.
that one should only be about.
And then it would be interesting too to see like where, would you just go start at A then? Or if we really haven't done it in so long, like you just saw, we are such in need of an update, we're not even mentioning some latest regulation.
Yes, and you don't have the free lunch, free, universal free lunch. You don't have that policy yet. That just happened this past year.
So you can make suggestions of things we need to do. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, motion by Mr. Del Rossi to adjourn, second by
Second.
Mr. Conway, all those in favor?
You
Aye.
have to roll call it.
Well,
We have to roll call it because
She's
she's
remote,
on
you
the
gotta roll
phone.
call it.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so
Aye.
motion to adjourn 7:18 PM. Motion made by
Ms. Del Rossi,
Ms. Del
seconded by
Rossi.
Mr. Conway.
roll call. Ms. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Conway, and Ms. Del Rossi.
Ms. Del Rossi.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion, meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.